And today, I believe you've already seen the thumbnail where we're talking Society 5.0. What is it? What are we really on about it? Things are changing. The world of information is about to transition into a new one. We've been talking 4IR, but have we really been talking how the society will really be living once it gets to 4IR? We haven't been on that conversation yet. We'll literally be getting into it a little bit more. That's what we'll technically. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 3 of Varsity on Record. And today, I'll be flying solo for a while. That's what I'm assuming. I'll be flying solo for a while and having these conversations with you guys just like this. But welcome to Varsity on Record. Light is particularly a wave that it resonates for generations. And today, I believe you've already seen the thumbnail where we're talking Society 5.0. What is it? What are we really on about it? Things are changing. The world of information is about to transition into a new one. We've been talking 4IR, but have we really been talking how the society will really be living once it gets to 4IR? We haven't been on that conversation yet. We'll literally be getting into it a little bit more. That's what we'll technically be doing within that talk, right? And how the secret, I'm continuing with it, will be really much of an enabler of that internet of information sharing coming into the future, and how it's aiming to amplify most of these things through allowing still physical interactions, because technology is here, right? So that's going to be one of the other parts, and I'm going to be telling you guys about a short story before we just begin. But that's our main topic, obviously, from the thumbnail. A smart, sustainable society that is good and sustainable for us, right? We'll talk more onto that. But without any further ado, I'd like to welcome you, and let's go. So today I'm just going to talk about a few things, more especially with one of the things that I wanted to talk about is how to really avoid overworking yourself, because a lot of people seem to have this thing of overworking themselves. It's a point of working to a point whereby you basically overwork and can't put so many ideas that you can't even pin one to one, right? It comes to that. Most people are facing that as we speak right now. And this is where we really have to really get into the conversation. Right now, you are there, you're in school, you're a student, and all that's going through your mind is study, 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 study. Obviously, that's you working. And at some point, you become so much into, I need to fulfill 1, 2, 3, and I need to then start. Maybe you're saying, oh, he's about to tell me to relax. Quite the opposite. I'm about to tell you to work smart. I'm about to tell you how to really start work, how to really start embracing some of those ideas. Now, let's talk about what I'll normally do, what really works according to my suggestion. So obviously these are going to be tips, really, more than anything else, just to really take notice of that. These are just tips from me personally and what I use and what really works on my side, which I believe can work also for you, right? The first basic thing, the first basic rule of thumb, you know that the more you literally absorb yourself with actual information, or basically absorb yourself around certain knowledge and certain streams of ways of doing things, you then come to a point where now you start being invoking into certain forms of ideas, right? And those ideas then come with you, and you basically in a way become one with them, in a sense, if we just put it like that. But now there's a sense of then you go, even the Bible says it, do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good character. right? So basically, the more you assume yourself with something, the more you will obviously be with it, right? So basically, take that time, have that one point in time whereby you really surround yourself with information, not to really absorb it, but to just surround yourself with it. You're not focusing on you taking it in, but you're surrounding yourself with it. If you're going to be studying, study. Focus on that, right? Study on that. But once you have a certain point in time, just take a book or take something, right? Take maybe a YouTube video, like this one. Like and subscribe. And now take that piece of information again and just listen. Just listen to it. Don't fall into anything else. Just listen to that information. Just let it be. Just let it surround you. Have conversations with people. Really start debating about it, because I think when somebody says something that you don't like, you just feel like canceling him. This is how society has really become, right? They just want to. They don't want anybody to say anything, right? That's one other thing that we need to really put into perspective. But right now, you just have to absorb yourself, talk to people about certain ideas, share those ideas, right? Start really learning onto them, and just have that type of surrounding. If you're really eager on understanding it to a point whereby you look at it from maybe like, oh, I'm supposed to do this, and this is how it really works. For you to get an in-depth understanding is for you to really take it as a casual thing, if I put it like that, right? For myself, I absorb information in a very huge different way. I can sit up for like 6 hours. I don't touch music. I don't touch anything else. I listen to exactly the information that I wanted. For instance, let's take me coming to do this podcast. I literally had to sit close to 2 days, 6 hours per day, literally just listening to information about what I'm going to tell you as the main topic today. I spend that amount of time into that, and you'll kind of see its effects, how it really works. I can summarize information for you. I can do a lot with it, but at the end of the day, I choose, and then you'll see how good and heavily good compiled it is due to that very same aspect, right? This is you, and just a tip in terms of how to not overwork. Allow yourself to study at that specific time that you're supposed to do it, but then in order to really take in the good information, just allow yourself to really have conversations about it. Listen to other things that are related to that topic, right? Because you really want to learn it. If obviously at this point in time, I'm a student, I have 4,000 to 5,000 modules, right? Yes, you do. But once you study that module, after that, take a deep brief hour listening to something along those information lines. Just lay on your bed, close your eyes, and just relax. And when a point comes, I'm like, oh, there's a point, I know it. Oh, there's a point, I know it. Listen to a podcast that's meant on that, like this one. And you'll then be able to really see, those are some of the things that I want to really share with you guys. This is going to be, I think it's going to be a short episode if I don't drag with the Society 5.0. But that's as far as it goes. And in other news, I'm going to put it here. I'm just going to put it in front of my face, or the mic, go just below there. You never know. But in other news, there's a guy who matriculated for the second time by going back to grade 11. He wanted to be a doctor, and for some reason he qualified to be an engineer. I was like, nah, I'm going back to school. And went back to grade 11, did matric, and boom, I think got like 5 distinctions. You'll be able to see the story. I'll put it there. Now I've decided I'll put it there. And then you'll be really amazed as to how it really went down. He went from Durban to Cape Town and was like, I'm going back home, I need to study, and I want to be a doctor. He didn't want to be anything else. He wanted to be a doctor, and he studied, and he passed. He's now at the Wits Medical School, right? And again, talking about Wits, Zahara my head, my God. Okay, look, you know what? I want to mispronounce people's surnames, right? But Zara is a second-year medical student who's balancing being a national karate champion and is basically doing very well in medical school, right? That's one of the stories that I want you guys to read up. I'm going to put it up as well. Same location. Just read up on it. See if you can then find it, then really find out how she's balancing things out, more especially in school. Who knows? That might be the most helpful thing that you ever read today, right? So just look it up as well, take it up, and be able to really see it. But she's more of an impressive person. She has, I believe, a red belt in karate, and she is doing a second year. You know how, look, medical students, it's hard, isn't it? I can feel your pain. I feel, I understand what you're going through right now. You have to read a lot. You have to study. You have to go into that lecture. You have to someday look at a person and tell them what the problem is. You have to sit down with them at some point and be like, this is you. You are sick, and I'm going to tell you what's wrong. I had to spend a lot of years to tell you that, just to give you that answer, unless you're specializing, right? But yeah, so in most cases, I know it's a struggle with most medical students, but I love the fact that you guys always make it through. For some reason, the most resilient students, I would say, in academia are medical students. Those people are resilient, and they're the most awesome people, like focused, organized. I'm just putting it out there, right? Take it from a math person. Take it from a math. So that's basically what it is in those cases for me. I'm with them in terms of how resilient they are and how much dedicated they are. You know, they're basically teaching themselves to really cope with so much. And when they get out of there, they literally can even do things, multiple things. So commend them on that. So that's part of what we obviously then want to talk about. I want to talk about the overworking part of things, how to not overwork yourself and do sleep at least 4 hours a day. That's work for a student. If anybody out there is a sleeping researcher, please answer me in your dreams. That would really make it more believable for me that 8 hours is the moderate time to really sleep. Because I'm tired after I wake up after 8 hours. I'm more active after 4 hours. So I would really love you to tell me how to go through it. I'm not knocking anyone. It's sarcasm. If you're not familiar with it, go to Twitter and tell the world that I said what I said. And you want to mutilate every single limb in my body. Anyway, I don't want to get too much into that. Let's focus more now on Society 5.0. Before we get into it, right? Before we get into Society 5.0, let's understand the different forms of society. As much as there was industrializations as we moved along, because now we're moving into the fourth industrial revolution. We might want to do the fifth. I'm looking forward to this, but I wish I'll still be alive. But yeah, as much as we already know, we had the fourth. We have now basically on the fourth industrial revolution, and we moved from number 1 all the way to 4 now. Even societies have much of a situation going on there with steps, right? I'll link a video that can kind of like explain it easier from Alta van Der Mercedes from the University of Pretoria. I'll link it there so that you guys can see it and really be able to really take in that information for yourselves. More explained within 5 minutes. I'm going to explain it in a little bit more depth, right? Let's take number 1, the hunting society, which is where we begin, you know, where your great, don't make it a piano song, great grandfather was, and your great grandmother was as well. So these were the people, the society that hunted, that saw hunting as that, you know, I need food, I'm gonna need to hunt. I need to know how to track. I need to know and understand the animals and how they behave. These people are researchers in their own right, however we might put it. They basically needed to know all those things. That's the society back then. They needed to know how to hunt. They needed to move from one area to another. The best area that has, number one, you'll realize that within what I'm going to say in terms of everything has one thing in common: food security and scarcity, and it has some form of economics going into it, right? It has some form of economics. So three things are in there which are common in between all of those. And then that's what we had. We further then move over to your, what's this? They were nomadic, yes. The second part of things, which then goes over to your agricultural society. Now, this is when men decided, not men as in the male gender, but men, the human species, the Homo sapiens, right? Decided, you know what? I am tired of moving. I will not be nomadic anymore. I need a way to really stay around and chill and be vibey and, just because I can't be out here, one woman, one kid, 2 kids, then life ends. I'll die possibly hunting for food. I will not be killed by food. Doesn't work like that. So they started being like, you know what? I'm going to now start sitting down. I'm plowing. There's something called a seed now. Planting it. And there it is. It's growing. It's becoming something. It's becoming something which we call food. Wait, what if I was to start building a kraal, and that kraal would then have sheep? These are sheep. I'm going to start domesticating animals now. Then I'm going to take that buffalo that looks like this. Then I'm going to domesticate it because I like the meat. Then they started domesticating animals, and domestication really started there at best, in terms of everything. Not to say that it didn't begin at society 1.0, but the society 2, it was now a little bit too much, right? And then domestication started so that we can have animals and always have food. Don't hunt, put them in one place, allow them to grow and breed, and kill them and slaughter. The correct word, slaughter, please. Slaughter. And after slaughtering, I then get to finally eat it. And then I have veggies and bananas and snacks. I'm never hungry now, right? But then it got to a point whereby you're now like, okay, since we're already here, industrialization is we're about to get to that. Since we're already here, I have more mealies and you have more bananas. What if we started trading? Then we started trading, what you have, what I have, because I don't want to really make effort, right? We're becoming smarter. But at the same time, we're now realizing if you have a bigger field, you have more easier way to now start doing what? Handing out resources, bartering and trading. Now you realize that potential. Now you start building shelters that are very nice and whatnot. Now we're about to come into industrialization. Then we plow that, and there's the field. There we are. We are now fully fledged, owning farms, owning cows, owning cattle, obviously. And now we are that. Now we like, how about we start industrialization? That's where now, so that's what the industrial society started. Now we can get people to work for us, and then we pay them in some form. We'd have a form of compensation from them. That compensation then leads us into industrialization, because now you have employees, then employing begins, and then you're now in the industrial phase. Then suddenly we now being like, you know what? This is where we begin, everyone. This is basically almost the second industrial revolution. We're now beginning, and then we're going to be here. People are going to be now developing cars. We're now going to be developing things that make our lives easier. So there was that form of technology that was there now. Now we're going to start making machines that can grind. We're going to have cows or cattle that are going to pull plowing machinery on the farm, so that it can be easier for us to lay those seeds down, to take out those weeds, and such. Now, this is industrialization beginning, right? Now, this is where we moved. For a very long time, we were there because now life was easier. Now we suddenly, at some point, we had bicycles, then we had cars, then we had lights, and then we have electricity, then we had TVs. We kept on moving up until we got to now the point of now saying, if you understand this now, that meant that now we were focused on having as much information. Now we'll begin to we need more information to advance this so that we can have our lives much more easier, because we need to be secure. We because number one, remember in the agricultural times, we started getting sick a lot as human beings. Now we need a solution. Now we need to know how we're going to cure this. Now we need to find herbs and learn all these type of things. Now this is us starting with most of the research parts of things, how to learn about, because at this point, your Einsteins and Newtons were bored. Like, what am I going to do? Build a new thing that plows? I need to really know about something. I need to know about the universe now, right? What makes this fall? Now people are starting to ask questions, right? Now this is where that began. Now that culminated, the golden age of science became. And then we started doing those researchers. Then we went into the internet. That introduction then brings us to the information age, because now that means that I have information, I can put it out there. You have information, you can put it out there, right? All that comes together into now industrial revolution. Actually, industrial revolution, which is the third industrial revolution, obviously, brings us to the information society, which is society 4.0. Now, society 4.0 says, I have information, I'll give it to somebody, I'll put it in there, and then boom, I'm not sharing it. I'm going to really stick it with myself, or even if I am sharing it, I'm going to share it to a limited extent. Intellectual property, people, don't copy. Don't. But yeah, so you have all of that now in terms of the information age. And now we're starting to basically have information and it's there. Then the STG then started having its own goals, which obviously is to make education more affordable and accessible for each and every single person, which is one thing that we need to really have. This is where the secret comes along. And you should notice that. This is where the secret comes in. Basically providing quality education and affordable education for each and every single child. But then comes to a point that now, since we're now preparing, the very same way we prepared for the information age, now that we're preparing for the, what's this? We're now preparing for the generation 5.0. We won't really know much up until we really get to it, I believe anyway. But we are now beginning to say, okay, we need to share our information. We need to educate these people. We need to then, now this is where the fourth industrial revolution really comes in. Because once you have that technology, once you're able to now start saying to somebody, look, I know that you have access to internet now. What do you use the information for? Because the internet is really, it's scattered with information, but then we need to be able to really package it. Now that's where us sharing information, we're sharing packaged information. Knowledge becomes the currency at some point, trust and believe that, whereby I have this information well packaged. You're not going to get 5,000 that coffee is bad for you, and then coffee is good for you, Google's in 8,000 searches, and you almost two things that are saying they're correct. So you're correct on either spectrum, but now you're getting packaged information that's really, really, really just grounded enough, like Google Scholar. And they say, here's the information, I have it, but then that's my currency, right? We're no longer battering millies and, now exchanging information. That's where blockchain also comes in. I really wish to have this conversation with somebody who is in the research field of it. At some point, if you are, please hit me up, and we'll drive this conversation a little bit further. And then comes to a point where now we're like, no, blockchain It's basically changing data to data. You own this. It's legit yours. You don't need to prove it. It's really right there, right? It's your money. It's your money. You have access to it without any form of middleman, like a bank saying, yeah, we know that you have your money. If we lose it, you lose it, you know. There's no way of having that. Now we are beings that are now exchanging information. But now remember that all these societies came about to address economic disparities, right? To address issues within that. And hence we obviously, as Alta van Der Mercedes said, we need to then be able to not be careful, to not have solutions that then somehow become problematic. We also now need to make sure that they are of good constitution to everybody, right? So we then come to that point of understanding it from a point of education, because if it's the information age and education 5.0 says we're going to integrate information and share knowledge, where are you sharing that knowledge from if you're not educated in it, right? You need to be educated in it. So now this is where education really comes in. Now you're going to start knowing those research points, everything that really is aligned with what you need to then know in terms of information and sharing the knowledge. We have come to that. Now we need to understand the fourth industrial revolution, right? You need to really be able to understand that in order to really move up into anything, right? In order to really start moving into in that direction, you really need to start moving and understanding that being educated is one of the prime aspects of the new society 5.0, because we'll be living in cities that will be like, no, I'm going to be here, whatever. But then, okay, cool. What do you have that can help in terms of growing my value and possibly then making society a better place? We are gonna continue doing that, and AI is now basically a helping point of that, right? AI becomes the helping point of that. What do I mean by saying that AI becomes the helping point of that? AI becomes the helping point in a sense that what you're basically then doing, you yourself, within that very same spectrum of information. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a bit, right? Here, I can give information as what you can change within the society, right? You become the person for that. And in most instances, you really now need to consider a lot of things. What is your part in society that you're playing? Because Society 5.0 is going to integrate all those AIs. Yes, now I'm back to my train of thought. Sorry about that. It happens sometimes. But basically, AI helps us leverage that, because you have this information and now you want to really have another person have access to it without really even telling them about it or anything. You just say for instance, let's talk about people who edit, right? People who edit photos. I saw this new one. I know, I'm not going to mention its name, but I saw this new one. It says, you edit. You're basically giving it information. So are we really sharing information as us? No. We're sharing information with machines. You get that? We're sharing information with machines, and the machines take in that information, and then somebody else in the society uses it, and then you just share information without really sharing it directly to them. Because I need to, as humans, I don't really want to share, because human problems are very complex. #peace. Right. So that's one thing. We have AI, we have computers, we have robotics that are going to help us. We in education, we then going to use these tools to basically help us be like, you can be in Canada right now trying to understand what's going on with the snowfalls and whatnot without being in Canada. You can simulate yourself in a certain place. Now that's where the metaverse comes in, because it helps us simulate and puts us in real life situations that we don't need to really travel to. It's not like you're seeing it, you're looking at it. You are going to have an experience of it within the metaverse. Once you put it on, once you really get used to it, I believe we really now can experience it. We can really be there. I still prefer physical interactions. Anyway, we continue, right? So yes, so it's just going to be mostly that you're going to take these tools to school. You're going to know, you know what, I'm gonna need to let's say for instance in South Africa itself, we would say it would be hard to really reach that level as for now, but I'm happy because of universities of Pretoria and other academic institutions within the country that are literally within the sustainability, literally just what's this, disincentiving the weak sustainability plan of a smart society going into the future. And this would really, really help with most of these things, because then you have now equipment, you have facilities, you have things that you can give to people, that will be able to help them in being educated and understanding how to give information to those machines. You get me? So you are now having the pleasure to be able to know how to give information to that very machine. That's where it all comes in. You get me? So that's from me, and that's me telling you about what Society 5.0 is all about. I did try to be as brief as I could, but at most, Society 5.0 is going to help us with a lot of things. A lot of economic disparities within the socioeconomic classes as well. It's going to help us a lot, because we're not going to be taking in what's this? We're not going to be really much of a divided society, because if you have a smartphone, I have a smartphone, you become sufficient enough to be active within the society of the 5.0, meaning that you are also granted the very same leverage that's being granted to another person. It might not be as equal, but you are a contributor within the society and within the economy itself in that situation, because everybody now becomes a contributor within our economy and our society. And that is what I'm really in love with the Society 5.0. It's one beautiful thing that will be coming to us, which is slowly building up, because it's slowly going the same way that all the societies came in. This will be exactly that very part of things. So keep researching the academics. This was your Academia Insight. For more details, as I said, I'll link it in the description below. If I didn't, just leave it in the comment, be like, where is our link? And then I'll deal with it. I'll get to the link and then send it there, put it there so that you guys can see it. And then we'll be able to really get deeper into this conversation. Fun facts. I know you want that. That was the fun fact. It was me trying to rhyme. That was me trying to do something that I wasn't meant to do. Yeah. No, you want something at the end? I usually do give you something at the end, right? But I already gave you something at the beginning. There are a few conferences coming up. Wish everybody could know about them, but I can't expose them as for now. There's a launch conference coming up. I wish I could tell you more about it, but I can't. But these are going to be things that are going to connect people who have such great minds to our current landscape of life, right? And improving the sustainability nature of how society is going to move forward, the 4th Industrial Revolution, and as well meeting the 20 goals in terms of the education and giving affordable and quality education into the future. That is something which The Secret is going to really be dealing and diving deeper into. So young people, young women, professionals, and everyone who is a student in academia let's roll into this. Join us quite soon as we take you on a whole new journey that helps us and helps society thrive in a good, sustainable manner going into the future, because quality education is important. It all starts with us making that move as the secret towards that, and boosting initiatives that push that, so we can see a healthy, global, good society 5.0 that knows how to distribute information without any form of lack. For myself, G.B. Langer, light is particularly a wave. Let it resonate with generations. For myself, see you next time on Varsity on Record. Thank you.